What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I'm going to be sharing a bunch of excellent spots to get Longshot medals in Black Ops 3, and this is post-patch, so this is after the little Varix Trick has been patched. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so first off, for those of you guys that weren't aware of what that Varix Trick was, basically if you use the Varix sight and you zoomed out with it, it would actually cut your Longshot medal distance in half, or nearly in half, with any gun. So it made getting Longshots super easy. But just a couple days ago, this was patched so it no longer works, and now you have to get those Longshot medals legitimately. And the Longshot distances are actually quite far, especially for the sniper rifles in this game. So for those of you that don't know, Longshot medals are needed if you want to get camos for the pistols, the assault rifles, as well as the sniper rifles in this game. You don't really need them for any other class to get the camos, but for all of those people that are grinding for dark matter or gold camos on snipers, assault rifles, and pistols, this is going to help you a ton. So first off, let's just have a look at the ranges required to get a Longshot medal for each of these classes of weapons. So as you can see for the sniper rifles, you have to be pretty far away from your target in order for it to count as a Longshot. The assault rifles as well, it's pretty far. As for the pistols, it's really not that bad, and a lot of these spots that I'm going to be sharing today are going to be much longer distances than what you need for the pistols. So I'll just say for the pistols, I highly recommend playing hardcore, and then just try to keep your distance. You can easily keep yourself at a longer distance than that, and the pistols will come fairly easily. But for the sniper rifles and assault rifles, it requires you to really know these maps and know the longer lines of sight, and which lines of sight work and which lines of sight don't work for long shots, and that's what we're going to be covering today. Also, one quick thing that I wanted to mention is that suppressors do not decrease the range required for your Longshot medals. This is a myth that has been spread around quite a bit over the past few months. Suppressors don't affect this at all. Also, as far as game modes go, I would highly recommend hardcore for the assault rifles. It's not necessary for the assault rifles. It just makes it that much easier because you'll only need to put 1 or maybe 2 bullets into your enemy, which is pretty easy at a long range, whereas putting like 4 or 5 bullets into an enemy at super long ranges can be quite difficult with a lot of the assault rifles. As for sniper rifles, I would stick to core game modes for all of them except for the Draken. I would do the Draken in hardcore. One more thing I wanted to point out, when I'm showing you guys these spots, I'm going for sniper Longshot distances. So the assault rifles do have a little bit more leeway here, but I'm trying to show you the ranges that will work for sniper rifles, so obviously they will all work for assault rifles as well. So let's get into the spots that I found for you guys. I went on to pretty much all of the maps. There's some maps where it simply isn't really viable to go for long shots, and I picked out areas that are going to be practical for actual in-game use. There's several other places on a lot of these maps that you can potentially get long shots, but I just picked areas where it's very likely you're going to be running into enemies at these places, and therefore these are actual practical spots that will allow you to get several long shot medals in a single game. Also, I know it might sound really obvious to most of you, but just keep in mind you can obviously use the reverse to all of these spots to also get your long shots. So if I show it from one angle, just keep in mind it also works from the opposite angle. So you can see there, I already showed a few spots for the map Hunted. Now we'll get into Infection. Infection is an excellent map to get long shots on. I like this spot back here. You can jump on the logs and pick them off from the window across the way. But keep in mind, you can also get a long shot medal. It still counts as a long shot medal if you go from windowsill to windowsill, from church to the house, or vice versa. Also, wanted to point out, from the church window here, it still counts as a long shot medal if you pick the guys off that are trying to head glitch behind that vehicle there. But that's pretty much the threshold. If they're pushed up beyond that point, like at the sandbags here, that does not count as a long shot. Next up, this is a great spot to pick people off as they come out of spawn there. If you jump up on this vehicle, you can pick them off across the way. I get tons of kills in this location. And I just wanted to point out on this side of the map here, that this spot here is not far enough for long shots. A lot of people seem to think it is. It is not, at least for sniper rifles. You might be able to pull it off with assault rifles, but not sniper rifles. Finally, I just wanted to point out that obviously the reverse of this works as well, so if you want to head glitch behind these vehicles, you can easily pick the guys off in the windows across the way, and that'll count as a long shot. Moving on to Metro, this isn't the greatest map for long shot medals, but there are a couple great spots here. If you come all the way back here on top of this vehicle, you can easily pick the guys off that are in the doorway, as well as that big open area there, and that works for long shots. And obviously this map is very symmetrical, so the opposite side of the map will work as well. Next up, we have Redwood, and I was really surprised with Redwood. There aren't very many practical long shot spots for sniper rifles on Redwood. We have this spot right here, which is great for taking those people out that are near that bomb site on the catwalk area. And I just wanted to point out that you can't actually get a long shot medal with a sniper rifle from this location here, which I found to be quite surprising. Moving on to Stronghold, the best spot that I have is to lay down way back here and just pick people off that go into the bedroom. You'll get several people a game that go into that area, or you can jump on top of this vehicle right here, and you can easily pick the guys off that are standing on that little rooftop across the way, or if they aren't standing there, you might be able to get a little jump shot on the guys that are on the really common pieces of cover. Moving on to Havoc, I just have one excellent long shot spot, and that is to pick the people off that are standing right there. Now, if you're standing in that spot there, that's not good enough for a long shot. You're not far enough away with a sniper rifle. So instead, if you come back on top of this vehicle, you can easily pick them off there for a long shot. This works great for both sniper rifles as well as assault rifles. And an alternative is to jump up right here, which will also obviously be a long shot medal because you are even a little bit further back. Moving on to the map Fringe, this is one of the most obvious ones. Windowsill to windowsill here from the barn to the house. That will count as a long shot medal, no problem. And then obviously any of these spots behind that windowsill will also work as a long shot. Also, if you are right up towards where this yellow barrel is, this still counts as a long shot medal to that window. So this is also a great spot for long shots for sniper rifles. Keep in mind this is about the threshold though, any closer and it won't be a long shot. One of the reverse spots that's a little bit less obvious is to jump up right here and you get a great line of sight towards that barn. Just keep in mind you don't have to be this far back. Like I said, you can be in the window of this house and it'll still work. And then finally for Fringe, you can jump up on this fence right here and it gives you a nice line of sight on this long corridor here, and that obviously counts as a long shot. Moving on to Exodus, you can jump up on top of this little awning right here and it gives you a nice line of sight over to where the turtle statue is, and that is just long enough to be a long shot medal for sniper rifle, so it's a great spot there. Just in front of that, you can also jump up on this fence right over here, and that gives you a nice long shot into the window across the way. And then finally, we have this spot right here. If you're coming out of this spawn and the enemies are trying to spawn trap you from that piece of cover, right here will actually count as a long shot. Moving on to Evac, I wanted to point out that from right back here, this is not far enough to be a long shot medal up to that window, and that means if you're up in that window, there really aren't any opportunities for any long shot medals. But if you come all the way back here, it's a great counter sniping spot to pick those guys off that are standing up in the window, and this will count as a long shot. Back towards this side of the map here, you have a nice line of sight on the people that are up in that really common spot. This one you should be able to use to get several long shot medals in a single game. Next up, if you have enemies that are coming off spawn from way over there, you can easily pick them off from right here, and that'll count as a long shot. And obviously the reverse will work to that, but instead I like to jump up on top right here. It just gives you a little bit of a different line of sight, and obviously that is a long shot as well. Now finally for Evac, if your enemies are camping up in this area right here, a great way to take them out and have it count as a long shot is to come back on these steps right here, and you can easily pick them off, and there you go, there's your long shot medal. Moving on to Breach, it's really important to note that if you're standing right behind this AC unit and your enemy is hugged right up against that windowsill, this will not count as a long shot with a sniper rifle, but it will for an assault rifle. So instead, if you back off to this corner right here, that will now count as a long shot for a sniper rifle. The same thing goes for the reverse of that. You don't want to hug up to this windowsill right here if they're on that AC unit, because it won't count as a long shot with a sniper rifle, but if you back off in the room, there you go, that'll count as a long shot. Finally for Breach, this is great for safeguard as well as demolition. If you back off right here, you can easily just shoot them like that, or you can jump up on top of this railing and look over top of this unit right here, and there's your long shot medal. Finally, we have Aquarium. If you come all the way back to this point right here, it gives you a nice line of sight on those people that like to lock that corner down, and that's just within your long shot range. And then finally, from over here, a lot of people try to stand right here and get long shot medals, and this isn't quite far enough. But if you drop down into the water right here and just kind of strafe over, you get a long shot on anybody that's behind that piece of cover up there. So there we have it. That's a ton of long shot spots that you're able to use on pretty much any one of the maps in Black Ops 3. If you remember these spots and you use them while going for long shot medals, it'll make them a whole lot easier. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.